Welcome to our virtual open house. My name is Rihanna Vilmer and I work in admissions at the Claremont campus. And I'll give everyone a chance to introduce themselves as well. We're just kind of wanting to talk about late start classes. They start the week of the 15th,
yep, February 16th.
February 15th. And there's lots of reasons why you might want to take a late start class and you may not even know it yet. So thank you guys for, thank everyone for joining us, and we can just kind of go around. Zoom never looks the same for everyone. So I guess just kind of chime in and let us know who you are and what you do and
what you want us to do, Rihanna. Tell a person who's next. So
I can tell you? Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, I get the power. All right, so my co-host Charlene, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi, I'm Charlene Ashe, and I am in the Lebanon Academic Center here working and trying to help as many students as possible to get these late start classes filled up. And we're really excited about trying to introduce what we have and to tell you a little bit about late start, what it's all about, and give a few examples of a few classes tonight. So with that, welcome.
All right, Cara, you go next.
Hi everyone, I'm Cara Chanoine. I am the English Program Director here at RVCC, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about our English offerings tonight.
Great, thank you, Cara. Laura. Okay, how about Gary? We'll go. Okay, Laura, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I was on the other screen. So I'm Laura Hansen. I'm the supervisor at the Keene Academic Center, and I'm going to be on the chat. So if you guys have questions, you can ask everyone or just me privately, and we can get you that information after tonight too. I'll be posting some links and things to the schedule. So welcome.
Thanks, Laura. All right, Gary, you're on.
I'm Gary Derosier. I am a student at the Claremont campus. I am in my final semester with my major in human services.
Thank you, Gary. Steve?
Hi, my name is Steve Miceli. I'm an adjunct instructor at River Valley, and I also teach at Holyoke Community College. I usually teach U.S. history at River Valley, and I teach U.S. and Western Civ at Holyoke. I've been teaching the Vietnam film class for about 3 years now, and I'm looking forward to it again. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Lauren, would you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, yeah, I actually just called the campus because my son and I are considering relocating from California, and he's interested in summer classes, although I guess I'll look into the potentially late start classes for him for spring, just to see if there's any online classes, because we'll still be in California until probably April. So.
Okay, thank you. Suzanne? Oh, you said I think Suzanne stepped out.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're still here. Okay.
Sorry, everyone. I just want to welcome everybody. My name is Suzanne. I'm an enrollment service manager at the college, and I'm so happy to be here, but it's also 2 of my boys' birthdays tonight, so we're celebrating, and so I'm going to be sort of a ghost and let Rihanna and Charlene take over. So, but I'll be listening in. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. And Kirsten.
And I will be visually an Alberta Wildrose tonight, but otherwise tuned in. And I'm really excited to learn about the classes that Karen and Stephen are teaching. I've read, I think, and watched every novel relating to the Vietnam War. So I'm a history buff, and I also love literature. So what a perfect night.
Awesome. you know what? That's a nice segue right into Steve's presentation. So Steve, if you are ready, I know you said you wanted to share your screen and you have something to show us. So if you wouldn't mind taking over.
Sure, I'll get started. So we will be in this class filming the Vietnam War, the Hollywood Chronicles. We'll be looking at a number of intersectional perspectives in the Vietnam War era. What we'll be doing is looking at the way films were developed in about a 10 to 15 year period from the late 1970s through almost 1990, and how the filmmakers adapted their vision of the Vietnam War to American society. So there will be a film perspective to it, and then there will be a reality historical perspective to the course. So we'll be looking at what was actually happening in the Vietnam War, how the filmmakers perceived that, and then what society was going through at the time in the 1980s generally, and their perspective of the war. So there will be kind of like a intersection of all those perspectives. We will look at a number of popular videos at the time when they came out, including Apocalypse Now, which was a apocalypse in the making. The creators of the film had a difficult time. It comes through in the film how difficult it was. It's the story of an army officer serving in Vietnam who was supposed to assassinate a rogue army officer who set up his own fiefdom in Vietnam. We'll also look at Platoon, and a lot of these films show how conflicted the soldiers in the war were, but also how conflicted American society was about the war. There's a lot of introspection about good and evil, and if it's possible to draw a line between the two. So the course looks at obviously the content of the film, but also we try to get into a little bit deeper meaning of some of the films. Full Metal Jacket is a similar film that looks at the difficulties that the soldiers faced, particularly understanding the morality of war, the conflict within fighting a war. This is also a representation, Casualties of War, about a soldier trying to keep his morality in the midst of chaos and what he considers to be an evil movement within the war. So he finds himself, as do other soldiers, combating the demons within himself and what he sees other people experiencing as well. I should say most of the films that we watch are not feel-good films. Good Morning Vietnam is the closest thing that comes to a feel-good film. It is a comedy, but even in this, and it's also based on a true story. There are a couple of movies that we see that are based on a true story. This is based on a true story of a comedic DJ who goes into Vietnam and tries, as this says, to shake things up. But what he finds is that, again, there is a conflict that emerges when he discovers that one of his very best friends is working for the enemy. And his friend considers himself a patriot, and he's fighting against the United States. So there's a continual reevaluation of the soldiers' lives as they struggle through this period. And as we get into the realities of the war, the actual history, and we find that the United States itself as a society, particularly people who were coming of age in the 1980s, and they were discovering that the United States lost a war. That was a difficult psychological position to have. And the filmmakers struggle with this. There are a number of films that are the genre of returning veterans that we'll talk about, and the difficulty soldiers had with reemerging in American society, and how American society in general had difficulty accepting soldiers back into society. So there are a number of films, this one Coming Home, that deals with that. It's a wounded veteran story who loses his use of his legs, and then there's a love story. There's oftentimes love stories involved in these films. This is a classic World War II film that's actually set in Vietnam. And so we use the Green Berets as kind of a foil to gauge how the 1970s and 1980s were different types of war films in relation to World War II films. So the Green Berets is a classic good guy, bad guy. It's very clear cut who is the good guy, who is the bad guy. This is the only really popular film that comes out of the Vietnam genre that has such clear distinctions in right and wrong. Born on the 4th of July is another true story that we'll look at. It's based on a biography of a soldier who was also wounded, disillusioned. Its story arc is one of great expectation, a dramatic fall, questioning faith, questioning humanity, questioning the country, and then a reemergence, a rebirth as someone different. And I think the film that we end up with, The Deer Hunter, is encapsulates all the different angles that the war films consider. It's a home front film, it's a war film, it's a tragic film of lost souls who never return mentally from the war. These films, when taken together, offered the American public a sense, a catharsis. It's a transition through which the American society had to travel to accept what had happened in the Vietnam conflict, in Vietnam, as well as in society as a whole. And so the films kind of are a place for Americans to discuss a multitude of different aspects of life, of American society, of war, of morality. And so we'll continue that. I don't want to take too much more time, but I would like to stop share if I can. I would like to note that we will, in addition to watching movies, we'll read a fairly short book, and there will be a couple of articles. Oh, you've already purchased it, Garrett. Great. And there will be a couple of articles and primary documents that I will photocopy, and I'll put them online. So the only thing that you'll have to purchase is that book, and there's a free membership of Amazon Prime, which is how you'll access the movies. But there is a small rental fee for each of the movies. So it's like $3 for each of the movies that we have to watch.
Perfect.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions
now.
for anyone?
Okay.
I do hope to take that class one day because it sounds really very interesting.
Yeah.
Laura answered my questions. This is Lauren. I got my dog's picture
Oh,
up now,
good.
but Laura answered my questions. I think my son would love that class. So we're
Yeah,
gonna. Thank you.
that'd be great. And
That's awesome.
it's the late starts are what, 11 weeks? Is that right, Rihanna?
11 or 12. I don't. Yeah, probably. Yeah, 11 or 12.
So that's
Just how the calendar kind of runs.
yeah. So Lauren
and-
would be a good time, to
Okay.
sneak in a class.
Absolutely. And just so we all know, it's the same amount of information and content in fewer weeks, so it's a little more accelerated. And I don't know if Cara, you plan to touch on that, but I just wanted to kind of interject that so everyone knows that it is. I mean, it starts late but ends when everything else does. So it's this much information and this much time. So it's a little bit accelerated, I would say. But Cara, why don't you go ahead with your presentation if no one has any questions for Steve, and then we can do questions at the end as well.
Absolutely. I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm just going to talk. But I will start off by talking a little bit about the sort of some of the general features of late start classes and some of the benefits of late start classes. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about the late start class that I'm teaching this term. So with the late start courses, I think that, as Rihanna said, it's very important to keep in mind that you're getting the same number of credits and the same amount of content. So what ends up usually happening is that the workload each week is slightly heavier than it would be in a 16-week course. And usually instructors will be very clear about how that workload is going to be parceled out and things like that. So it's a great opportunity if you were not quite ready to take a course at the beginning of the term, or if you've already enrolled in some courses and you've decided you have a little more room in your schedule. I think that can sometimes, it's a nice opportunity to have. As far as benefits go, I think that sometimes the 12-week format works slightly better for people as far as scheduling is concerned. I know that especially due to our sort of pandemic model where we're really pushing innovative distance learning formats, things are very flexible. So it's very, we have a lot of online courses. I know that Steve's course is fully online, my course is fully online. So it's really easy to sort of get signed up and take the course from anywhere on your schedule. I also really like the late start model because it gives you a few weeks to settle into the semester before you decide whether or not you want to add another class. Or maybe, at the beginning of the semester, you simply weren't ready to enroll yet. And I like that we have the opportunity a little later in the term as well to get people enrolled, and we have a variety of offerings. I think I covered most of the basics of kind of benefits and features, but I'm, Charlene and Rihanna can chime in with anything that I've missed.
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, excellent. So I want to talk a little bit about the late start course that I'm teaching, which is world literature. It is a 3-credit course. It will be held asynchronously online. However, I am offering an optional Zoom meeting for people that want to drop in and chat about the course during the week, but that's not required. So you can do the course completely asynchronously online. It is an English course that will fulfill any English requirements that you might have that are non-specific. If you have an English Gen Ed requirement, this course would be a great fit for that. So the theme of my course is going to be banned books. I want to kind of narrow the focus a little bit because world literature is such a broad category. There's so many different directions you could go into. I think that banned books are particularly interesting because I find that censorship can tell us a lot about the relationship between literature and society. I think that if we look at why a book was censored at a given time and in a given place, it can tell us a little bit about how books are significant in our world. And that's going to be a big theme of this particular course. A big part of my focus is going to be to contextualize the literature that we look at. So we're going to consider not only why the books and other pieces of literature we're working with were banned in the first place, but we're also going to look at broad texts. We're going to look at who the authors were of these books and what their backgrounds are. We're going to consider historical backgrounds. When were these books produced? Where were they produced? And what cultures are they coming out of? I think that understanding those connections really helps us put literature into a larger framework. I think that that's one of the challenges that people sometimes run into with the study of literature, is that they enjoy reading or they enjoy, you know, various types of literature, but they're not really sure why it matters beyond that. And literature is so much more than just entertainment and art for art's sake. So this course will really, we're certainly going to enjoy the texts we're looking at, but we're also going to dig in and talk about their significance, why they matter. So as far as the course materials we work with, we're going to be looking at novels, plays, and blanking here, poetry, obviously. So novels, plays, poetry, so we'll cover a wide variety of genres. And we're also going to look at graphic novels as a sort of side genre of the novel format. So we're going to be looking at a lot of different types of literature, and we're going to cover 3 different centuries, and we're going to cover a wide variety of countries, including France, Russia, Iran, Nigeria, and the United States. So it should be an exciting ride as we sort of cover all of that ground. So other things to keep in mind in terms of content is that as we contextualize, we're also going to learn how to study literature. We're going to talk about what it means to approach literature with the purpose of analyzing and interpreting. We're really going to talk about some strategies that we can use to approach literature from a critical thinking standpoint. So I'm going to be introducing some really basic elements of literary theory, and we're going to explore a few different literary theories and apply them to our pieces of literature. And I like to think of literary theories as lenses that you can put over a piece of literature, and it brings certain things into focus. For example, one of the literary theories we're going to cover is feminist criticism. And feminist literary theory, as you might expect, is focused on feminist ideology. So it asks people to think about how a certain novel or play or movie represents gender and power dynamics and social systems that relate to gender and things like that. So when you work with different kinds of literary theories, it allows you to narrow your focus so you're not overwhelmed by all the possibilities of interpreting that text. So that will be one of the tools that we'll be using, and we'll be exploring a couple of different types of theories. Let's see. As far as the logistics go, I know that sometimes people are concerned about the cost of a literature course because there are a lot of different books to work with, a lot of different source materials. The good news is that there are only 2 required books to purchase for this course. Two novels. One is a graphic novel and one is Graceland by Chris Abani. And both of those very affordable. All of the other texts we'll be working with are available digitally on Canvas. So students will have the option to purchase hard copies of those texts if they would like, but they will have digital copies available for free. In addition, we'll have lots of other videos, essays, articles, and things like that to provide context and background, and those will be available for free via Canvas. So that is the world literature course in a nutshell. And I hope to see some people there. We have a good roster so far, and I, would love to have more people on board.
Okay, well, thank you, Cara. Lauren, I know you said you had to hop off in just a few minutes. So do you have any questions? I know you've been asking in the chat, but is there anything you want to ask before you have to go?
Cute dog too.
I know. I need more dogs.
She might be on her other, she might be
have
on her
already.
other chat.
Yeah.
Oh,
She had two
could be.
going tonight,
Oh, okay.
but she's still on. So
Okay. Well, if she comes back, she can certainly chime in.
Yep.
How about anyone else who has questions or wants to talk about late start classes or in general or specific?
I got one question, Rihanna. When Mr. Miceli, when will the syllabus be out, and what kind of equipment do we need for the class, like notebooks, papers, all that kind of stuff?
I'm still
Anything out of the ordinary?
No, nothing out of the ordinary. As long as you have access to the internet, that's where you're going to watch obviously watch the films, and all of the extra, other than the book that you already bought, everything else will be on Canvas. So to download an article or anything like that. And that's where you'll also upload any responses that I ask for, or any kind of interaction with other students in terms of collaboration. Everything will be done through Canvas.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and so I would imagine that I'll have the syllabus in a week.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Great. Anything in the chat that we need to, I haven't looked at the chat. Anything we need to, are you?
she said that she had to sign off, but the lit class sounds great too. They're interested in that Vietnam War class. And she has my email, and she will reach out with more. We've been chatting privately, but she seems very interested. So she had to sign off. There she goes.
Oh, there she goes. Suzanne, are you still here?
Yes, I sure am. It's been fascinating. Thank you, guys.
It's very interesting.
Is there anything you would like to add or ask or?
Well, just for those who are listening and chiming in, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that these courses can be taken, as part of a program. If you're looking for, the literature or the humanities credits for your degree, or you can just take a class. You don't have to be enrolled in a program. You can be a non-matriculated student. And generally that means that you're not degree seeking at the moment. You're just taking courses because you have some interest in the area, and that's fine. In addition to that, we have lots of students who take these courses to supplement what they're doing at their four-year schools. There's a lot of students that have stopped out for the time being or stepped away from their four-year because of COVID. And, with the community college, we make it so simple and so affordable to just kind of keep your educational goals on track, and by taking one or two courses over the year or the time that you're away from your four-year institution, it really helps. You can transfer these credits right back in. We have articulation agreements with many of the colleges in the state, of course, but even so, these kinds of courses are very transferable for elective credits or for the English or humanities credits. So I hope students out there that are in those positions where there's, they haven't gone back to their four-year institution, maybe planning to go back next fall when things hopefully settle down a little bit with the coronavirus and whatnot. So, this is a great time to keep your educational goals going on track and just keep earning those credits, because the longer you stay away, the longer it's going to take for you to reach those goals. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. This was a really great session.
Well said, Suzanne. I just wanted to also add that, you know, even though the classes are 100% online, you are still a student at River Valley Community College, and you are still, this is still your space. I mean, it's COVID, so it looks a little different. But I mean, you can come and use the library. You can print here. You get credit on your account for printing every semester. So if you wanted to print some stuff, you know, come on in. You know, it's still, and if you need a tutor, you know, tutors are still available, even though it's online. You know, again, it looks a little different. It's probably online tutoring, I believe, mostly. But, you know, you certainly are, you're still a student at River Valley, even if you're, you know, in your jammies in your living room or however you're, you know, doing your class. So we want you to still feel like, you know, you're a part of River Valley in this community, and you're, you know, we still will help you as much as we can to be successful.
I'm so glad you brought up tutoring, Rihanna. We just welcomed another guest to our meeting here. Welcome, HR. I know he or she is connecting to audio, but tutoring is such a great resource at River Valley, and now it is 100% online. So folks can connect with a tutor through our advising center, and when you do that, you get a one-on-one person to help you through whatever you're working on in your courses. So we have specific tutors for some of our science courses and math courses, but we also have general tutors that will help you with any of your courses that you're taking. So it's just such a great resource. It's completely 100% free, comes with your tuition. So, you know, and some of the other great little things, and maybe Gary can talk about some of this with his experience at River Valley. You know, we have a food shelf, and, you know, while that might sound like it's not for me, everybody at the college takes advantage of our food shelf. It's food that's been donated through the New Hampshire Food Bank, and other SGA, the Student Government Association, donates toward it. And there's so much food on campus, on all 3 campuses, and it is 100% free. And it really helps students to just like go to the shelf, grab a couple of things, and have dinner for that night, you know? So those are just 2 of many things that we have available for students.
Yeah.
Right, they're still running the SGA, the student government, you know, they're on Zoom, but they're still having the meetings, and they're still planning activities. I just saw something, I didn't have time to look, but in the Falcon Room, which is our cafeteria, there's something, I saw some beautiful flowers, and I don't know what they're doing, but it's kind of looks interesting. So, you know, we're still, you know, COVID, we all know it and we all hate it, but, you know, we're still trying to be a college and be a community. So we're doing our best to just get through until we can all be together again.
I've also seen some great virtual activities being advertised. I've seen virtual yoga, virtual trivia night. I know Tara is doing a lot with student life, and there have been a lot of really fun virtual activities. And I'm thinking, I kind of want to go to virtual trivia night. I'm gonna have to make that happen.
Yeah.
Having to do my internship / work study coming up with the pandemic going on. Nobody's accepting anybody. So I had a Zoom meeting with Carrie and Tara day before yesterday. And I'm going to work with them on the food shelf, food pantry, set up some recipes that are really low cost, you know, for people that need it, and post them. Because I was a cook many years ago, my whole life. But you know, any way I can help, please reach out to me.
Great.
Thank you, Gary.
It takes a village, huh?
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask about, for Stephen and Cara, class sizes. What, you know, one thing that I think, well, one of the many things River Valley can be really proud of is we have an amazing staff to student ratio. We really do. Faculty to student as well. So what would you say, you know, and I know, Stephen, you mentioned you also work at another college, but have you seen, you know, with remote sessions and remote, you know, synchronous classes, that you're able to still offer that you know, very small sort of class size feeling as well, as far as like engagement and student involvement?
Do you want to?
Oh, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
No.
I would say absolutely. I know that many faculty members have been creative about finding ways to be accessible to students. One of the things that I do is offer virtual office hours during the times when I would normally have office hours on campus. And I found that has worked well for people. Sometimes I will set up optional Zoom meetings for asynchronous online classes to give students an opportunity to connect in real time if they want to, without putting pressure on the students who might not be available to do that. I think that our class sizes have remained stable, at least in my programs. We've been able to keep our course caps as they were during the non-pandemic period. And I'm finding that our ways of engaging with students have been overall successful. I know in the English program and the humanities program. I think that Zoom classes have been a really good way of maintaining that student engagement for students who want a synchronous class experience where they're meeting with other students and professors in real time. I think that's been a great alternative, and it's been largely successful, at least in my program. And I think that the asynchronous classes that we normally offer continue to be a good option for students who might now have additional responsibilities with having to stay home with their students who are, or their children rather, who are being homeschooled now.
If I can say something from a student standpoint, since we did this, now I'm 64 years old. I do have a cell phone, but I use it for emergency purposes. Last summer, I took a class through Manchester Community College, and the instructor insisted that we take pictures of our homework and email them to her and all. I didn't know how to do that, and to be honest with you, I still don't. Now, fast forward to like last semester, I had to take statistics. I had Joy Hutchins. She was there twice a week with office hours. I did my homework. I dropped it off there, and it worked well. So, I hope it's I don't know, just the instructor being there 1 or 2 days a week to be able to do something like that, or basically just email it to them. That's great. Because I know there's other people just like myself. There's a lot of them that still don't have cell phones.
And we should talk about the ACT Center that is at the main campus, but has a reach to all the locations. Advising Career Transfer Center, right in the hub of everything going on. And they're really helpful on everything from how do I log in? They have help there, advising, they have career coaching, they have transfer counseling. So if you wanted to go to a 4-year, how would you do that? And what are they looking for? If you had to bring credits in, we can talk about the process on evaluating those. So that's a really great resource for you too, on the website and in person.
Those ladies are awesome in there.
They are.
They are. And we do have a disabilities and accessibilities coordinator, Kathy Dreich, on the Claremont campus. And so if anyone needs any, accommodations, they can meet with her and talk about, how to kind of tackle the semester. But I think that I will say our faculty and staff, I think they're just so, we all want to see you succeed and, you know, go on with your career. And we are really accommodating and I think helpful. And so
Very well
come to us,
said,
ask us
Brianna.
questions. Absolutely. Sorry, Charlene.
I said, very well said. Couldn't say it any better. Yeah, that's what
If
we're
I
here
could,
for.
if
Go
I
ahead,
could
Steve.
piggyback on that
Yeah.
and say, in my experience, as I said, I work at different community colleges, and to your point, most people at the community colleges want the students to succeed in their endeavors. So, you know, like I make myself available anytime a student wants to meet. So oftentimes what I'm discovering in this new format is that it's for students, but at least what I'm discovering for students, they want to meet after class. That's the time that they generally want to meet. And it's because I think it's because they're already in class, a Zoom class. And so if they have questions, they're already hooked up. On the other hand, through the new technology that we've been using, it is so much easier to find a time for both student and instructor to meet. So I feel like I'm getting more interaction one-on-one with students through that than I ever did whenever I held in-person office hours. That's just my experience. So I think we started this with the class sizes and the accessibility. I think that through this last year and a half or so, accessibility has increased, at least for me, in terms of finding times for students to get to me. Because when I was at either place and I would hold office hours, it was a crapshoot whether students were available to come see me at that time. And then to have an arrangement on campus was difficult too. So it seems that it's easier to interact with faculty, I think, for students. Class sizes for me have remained the same. At River Valley, at the Keene campus, they've always been relatively small, so around 10 to 15, sometimes 8. It's always been, my classes have always been very familiar with me knowing my students whenever we would meet face to face. Now this semester, it's asynchronous. I will be available to Zoom anytime, but for the most part, it will be students doing the class when they want to do it. And this will be a first for me to have a class like where there is no regular meeting time. At the other colleges I teach at, the enrollments have been similar. They've maintained their consistency, which in that class is between 15 and 20 for the classes in the other college.
Great. Thank you for explaining the asynchronous or asynchronous. So I know it's been said a few times tonight, and I have to be honest, I've worked here for quite a long time, and I was a student before that here, and I did not, when I saw the asynchronous and synchronous, and I was like, what is this? So
It's a new language.
So exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, asynchronous or asynchronous means that you do have like weekly deadlines, you have to get everything done within the week, but you can do it at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want, if that's when you have the time. You don't have to Zoom in, or obviously you don't have to meet, in class. So.
Since we have two folks here from the liberal arts, can you speak to the importance of liberal arts to an education? Because we often hear, well, why do I need American Lit? And, well, I just want to be a nurse, that kind of thing. Maybe you could just speak to that. Either one.
Go ahead if you want.
You really did a good job on the context. And so I was going to defer to you because that's, for me, it's really important in that sense. So go ahead.
And I'm laughing because this is one of my favorite things to talk about, because so many courses where students are taking it as a gen ed requirement. And so it's not necessarily something that they see as integral to their professional life. And I've and I'm always very excited to talk to them about why it is. For me, I view liberal arts as a way of, or liberal arts courses as a way of learning a couple of different things. Certainly, as Steve mentioned, a way to contextualize a variety of different life experiences, a variety of different skills. I think that that kind of foundational context is so crucial to being able to function effectively in contemporary society. I also think that many liberal arts courses really encourage the kinds of critical thinking skills that are crucial to almost every line of employment. And I know that critical thinking skills is kind of one of those buzzword terms that people may feel a bit skeptical about, but I think that for me, when I'm trying to sell critical thinking to people, I encourage them to think about it as being active thinkers as opposed to passive consumers of the world around them. I know that in the courses I teach, a lot of the activities that are foundational to the courses involve actively thinking about our course materials, in analyzing them, picking them apart to get a better understanding of how they work as a whole. That kind of practice, I think, really helps people to interpret the world around them in a more savvy way, to be more savvy participants in the world. And I think that that is really valuable in almost any profession and just almost any part of being a human being in the world today. So that's my spiel. Steve, feel free to jump in.
We could talk, yeah, we could talk about the benefits of liberal arts ad nauseum. That was great.
Very good. Thank you.
More questions? Anyone?
Well, looks like Gary's our only student on there, yes? What's your major, Gary?
Human services, social services.
Social service. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Very good. You're in good hands with Carrie.
Oh, yes. Yes. I've been fortunate. I'm on my last semester.
And Gary and I share something very special. We're both just avid Bruins fans. So whenever I see him on campus, we talk about the Bruins. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh.
Look at mine, Gary. That's what I got on tonight.
Oh.
And
Like
Gary
that
and
shirt too.
And Gary and I are both Springfield High School alums, so we got something in common.
Yes.
Go Cosmos.
Well, I think we've covered
Yeah.
late start.
Yeah.
I want to take both classes.
I know. Me too.
We could just call it late start, but an early beginning,
There you
right?
go. Yes.
I love it.
I love that. Someone put that on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Maybe on some of our merch.
And if anyone's watching this later, we still have summer as well. It's posted. We have summer classes, still enrolling for that. So even if you can't squeak in this spring, think about summer semester too.
Absolutely. Suzanne, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm so appreciative to have our faculty with us tonight and our students that join us. It's been a great exchange. You never know what you don't know till you hear about it. And so I learned a couple of things tonight too, that both classes sound great. And I know we have several other late start classes that are on the docket as well. So if students are interested, we can accommodate you.
Definitely.
And Steve, you have something else to say.
I have a question. What other courses are being started late?
Well, we
So
have,
glad you asked.
Laura actually did post it, but we have Intro to Psychology, Human Development, Intro to Sociology, Intro to Business, computerized accounting and accounting 2. But Laura did put a link in our chat. Is that right?
In addition to world literature and
Right. No. in
filming the
addition-
Vietnam
Yeah.
War, of
Yeah.
course,
Okay.
right at the top.
I just wanted to make sure I was talking to the late start to my students earlier, and I just wanted to make sure that there were other courses and to tell them to check it out. Okay.
For sure, yeah.
A lot of our allied health students need those intro to psychology and human growth and development. So they're hard to get into sometimes because those courses fill up quickly. So this late start is an additional opportunity for them to get into this course this semester. So they're able to move forward in the summer and spring, summer and fall. So.
Yeah.
Right. And I think someone mentioned earlier, you know, if you just really weren't ready to take another course, or even if you just weren't ready to take a course. I mean, you know, I know I talked to a student about a week ago, and, you know, it was her New Year's resolution to take a course and then figure out where she wants to go from there. She's not really sure kind of what she wants to be when she grows up, but she knew she wanted to start somewhere, but she just couldn't get her FAFSA done and all that stuff, you know, to get ready for the spring, you know, the regular start semester classes. So she's going to come in as a late start. She's taken 2 late start classes, and so she's thrilled, and you know, something that she decided to do as her New Year's resolution. She's going to work on herself now. She's got, you know, she's had kids, and now it's time to do something for her. So that's another, you know, thing. If you didn't get your stuff together, because sometimes it could be a lot of stuff to get, you know, pieces and parts to put together, you know, you can maybe start, you know, later. So.
And as I typed in the chat too, if folks are watching this later, we do give you an orientation. So you know, well, how do I do this online learning? What is Canvas? What's it look like? I get an email, you know, we're going to give you all the tools you need in your little toolbox to be successful. I mean, you have to do the hard work of the classwork, but we're going to get you where you need to be so you feel confident and self-assured when you start your class. So that's our goal.
I have another question. It's a technical question. I think it would be for Laura. So the chats that you're putting through there, can you save those in the recording? Are those saved in the recording?
Suzanne, those
I'm sorry.
Those can play back, right?
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
they do play back in the Zoom recordings.
And you don't have to do anything special whenever you're done.
No.
Okay.
Not that I know of, anyway.
But I think the private messaging is private.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
I've seen the chat in recorded Zoom videos that I've watched, so I'm assuming that it can be done. Did I set it up correctly to reflect tonight's Zoom chat? I'm not sure.
So I was asking for myself because whenever we have to record classes, I've not gone back and looked at them to see if the chats were saved. So I guess I should do that.
Good question.
That is.
And we have Canvas training for faculty too, but Zoom training as well. They're working on Zoom too.
I just looked at the chat box, and there's a little, it says file and then the 3 dots. When I clicked on the 3 dots, it said save this chat. So I assume that means you can save the chat to a doc for other purposes if you wanted to. But as far as recording and does it record the chat, I am just not 100% sure, but I know that I've seen it on other recordings. So
Okay.
Okay.
more to
And
come on that, Steve.
We verbally mentioned most of everything we've put on the chat. So if, you know, just to see.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would also like to thank everyone for joining us. It's been a great hour. It's gone pretty fast.
I know. Thanks,
So I
Charlene and Rihanna.
I hope, you know,
Welcome.
I hope we answered questions to, you know, I hope we answered any students or prospective students questions, but we certainly are available if we did not. Just call the main number and we will, if we can't answer it, we know where to send you or who to go to and, you know, get you an answer. So I appreciate y'all coming, and anyone who's watching this, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Awesome.
See you, Gary.
Bye.
Good
Good
Thank you,
night.
sir.
Nice
Look
meeting you,
forward to it.
Steve.
I look forward to it too. Good night,
Thanks for
everyone.
having the faculty on.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for running it. Thanks for doing the chat and
Yeah.
everything. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Bye, guys.